Hello class, good day. I hope that you are in good condition right now. So in this video, I will be giving the correct answers of the test reviewer or the test questions which I gave you 2 weeks ago. So if I'm not mistaken, I gave you 45 item test. So in this video, we will be or I will be dishing out to you the correct answers in each item. So again, I am your instructor, your reviewer, Mr. Neil Michael G. Olaivar. I hope that you will learn something from the discussion in this video. Okay, the first question is, Teacher Lorraine wants to test her students' ability to organize ideas. Which of the following she will use? So the keywords here is to organize ideas. So the teacher here wants to measure the ability of her students in terms of organizing ideas. So we have here four choices: A, matching type; B, multiple choice; C, true or false; and D, the essay. When you have a matching type of test, the student here is just to select whether it's letter A, letter B, letter C. So it's just matching two columns, column A to column B, then vice versa. So if the teacher is using matching type, this kind of test or type of test does not measure the student's ability to organize ideas. Why? Because it is objective type that the options are given by the teachers for the students to choose from. So letter A is definitely not correct. Then as well as letter B, multiple choice type of test. Of course, in this kind of test, there are also options to be given by the teachers. Then letter C, the true or false. So the students here will just choose, of course, between true or false. So options A, B, and C do not measure or cannot measure the student's ability to organize ideas because options or answers are given as a choice. So only letter D, the essay, wherein teacher Lorraine can really test the ability of her students when it comes to organizing ideas. When you let your students do or write an essay, of course, the students will have to develop a particular topic. Or the students are going to organize their thoughts and opinions regarding the particular topic that the teacher has given to them. So essay is the correct answer. Number two, Emil Renz obtained a score of 89 out of 100 in multiple choice test in geometry. What does this mean? So 89 out of 100 ang nakuha ang correct answer ni Emil from the test given to them in geometry. So unsa may implication ani? Letter A, he answered 89 items in the test correctly. B, he obtained a rating of 89. C, his performance is 11% better than the group. D, he answered 89% of the test item correctly. So, kini nga question, actually, there are two close correct answers. Murag kanang medyo makot up kaning duha ka answers na medyo correct siya kaning letter A o letter D. So, kaning letter A o letter D, sorry. Letter B and letter C automatically are wrong options. So let's try to focus our attention in letter D. He answered 89% of the test item correctly. Remember, kutub 100 ang test na gihatag sa teacher ngadto nilang email. So correct ni siyang 89% of the test item correctly. Nga naman, kay 89 out of 100 may nakuha ni Emil sa ilang test. Meanwhile, letter A also is correct. He answered 89 items in the test correctly. Okay, so asa man ta mo pili ani letter A or letter D? Okay. So remember that the question is not asking for a percentage. It is only trying to solicit an explanation, a description regarding the scenario na si Emil nakakuha og 89 out of 100 sa ilang test. So therefore, the correct answer is letter A. He answered 89 items in the test correctly. Okay, so A is the best answer. Number 3. Teacher Marivic wants to develop periodic test in her English classes. What is the first thing she will accomplish? A. Develop table of specification. B. Go back to the instructional objectives. C. Select the type of test items to use. Or D. Decide on the length of the test. So remember that a periodic test is given um, within a particular period or quarter. So meaning to say, ihatag na siya sa teacher after like 2 months or 3 months na series of discussions sa mga lessons. So in here, in the situation, teacher Marivic is planning to make a periodic test to be administered to her English classes. So unsa man iyang unang buhaton? Of course, teacher Marivic has to go back to the instructional objectives. Meaning to say, dapat balikan ni teacher Marivic ug unsa tong mga topics, mga instructional objectives nga ilang na-cover kay mao man pud siya iyahang gaman og test. Remember that we cannot make a test which contains items which were not or which are not yet discussed by the teacher. So the very first thing that teacher Marivic will do is to go back to the instructional objectives. Tanaw niya dito kung sa mga topics na po na cover. Okay. Kining letter A, effective ni siya nga unsay tawag distractor kay basic ako Filipino hong basa, I will choose develop table of specification kay kining TOS man god. This is also a prerequisite in making a periodic test. But take note, the TOS always contains instructional objectives. Meaning to say, you cannot make or develop a table of specification without going back first to the instructional objectives that you have discussed or you have taught with your students. So first and foremost, know first your instructional objectives. Mo nang letter B is the best answer. Number 4. Marie obtained a percentile rank of 94 in math. This means that A. She answered 94 items correctly. B. She surpassed in performance 6% of his fellow examinees. C. She surpassed in performance 94% of his fellow examinees. Actually, her ni siya kay si Marie, no? Letter D. She got a score of 94. When we say percentile rank, this refers to your standing compared to your classmates. So, since 94 ang percentile rank na nakuha ni Marie, this means to say that letter C, she surpassed in performance 94% of his fellow examinees. Kung pila imong percentile rank, that means to say nga mao po na number sa percentage sa imong classmates nga imong nalabwan. Muna siya ay percentile rank. Number 5. Which of the following objectives is the highest level in Bloom's taxonomy? A. List the parts of a tree. B. Explain how a tree functions in relation to the ecosystem. C. Rate 3 different methods of controlling tree growth. D. Explain how trees receive nutrients. Okay. Kung nakita niyo ang video nga akong gihatag 2 weeks ago, the link, it talks about or it tackles about Bloom's taxonomy. So the Bloom's taxonomy would serve as the teacher's reference in making instructional objective. So the start siya remembering, then next is understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. When we say remembering, this type of objective is just recalling something. It's just knowledge based. When you say analyzing, of course, I mean next day is understanding. This kining objective or level talks about or measures how much the students have understood a particular concept. Mana siya understanding. Of course, applying, this is this talks about applying the knowledge into real life situation. That's the third level in the Bloom's taxonomy. Number 4 is analyzing. Analyzing is breaking the whole into parts, meaning i-chop-chop mo ang big concepts into small ideas. So that pertains about analyzing. Next is evaluating. When you evaluate, of course, you judge, you rate something, you appraise something. That belongs to evaluating. Then the highest level in the Bloom's taxonomy is creating. Creating, this means to say that the student in here is encouraged or is tasked to create something based on the lesson. So let us try to evaluate the 4 options. When we say list the parts of a tree, i-list down na niya, enumerate niya ang parts of the tree. So that falls under the first level, that is remembering. Because when you let your students just list down the parts of a particular tree, you are just letting your students enumerate something. So lowest level ni siya, so wrong ni siya. When you say explain how a tree functions in relation to the ecosystem, the word explain. So when you let your students explain something, that falls under understanding. Because the students cannot explain a particular concept unless he understands it. So explaining belongs to the second level, which is understanding. Then rate. Rate 3 different methods of controlling tree growth. When you rate something, you judge. You judged it. You appraise it. You evaluate it. So this rating belongs to evaluating. Then letter D, explain how a tree receives nutrients. So explain. Same in letter D and letter B. They both belong to understanding. So out of the 4 options, ang pinakataas of level is ang letter C. That makes letter C the correct answer. Rate 3 different methods of controlling tree growth. Number 6, which measure or measures of central tendency is or are easily affected by extreme scores? A, mean and mode. B, mean. C, mode. D, median. Okay. Ato sang i-define yung mga options. Mag-start ta sa letter D. Kasi median, mo na siya ang pinaka-center nga figure sa set of numbers or set of scores. Example, ang scores kay 5, 6, 9, 10, 11. So, dili automatically nga itong 6 mo ay median. Imo pang i-arrange ang set of values either from highest to lowest or from lowest to highest. Ngayon, human mo mag-arrange ana, ang katong pinakadako nga score, pinakatunga nga score, that refers to the median. Okay? So, the mode is the most frequently occurring number. So, ana nga set, example, si number or si 6, kaupat siya nagbalik-balik. So, kadaghan siya ni occur. So, therefore, kana nga set of values, ang iyang mode is 6. Okay? Letter B, mean. Mean is simply the average. So, add all the scores divided by number of cases. So, that refers to the mean. Mean is simply the average. Okay. So, asa kuno ni ani nilang tulo ang maapektuhan sa extreme scores. When we say extreme scores, money scores nga nag-una og nauwahi. Meaning, tumoy nga mga scores sa usa ka set of values. So, asa ka? Of course, the mean is the correct answer. Ang mean kay once mausab ning pilmero og kinalasan nga scores, maapektuhan man yang average. So therefore, the mean is the most easily affected by extreme scores, letter B. Pero that does not mean nga ang C, ang mode o ang median dili maapektuhan. Maapektuhan gyapon sila, pero what we are looking here is the measure of central tendency that is easily affected by extreme scores. Manang letter B is the correct answer. Now, number 7. Um, Palma Scholarship Foundation conducted examinations for scholarship for 3 batches. The results are the following. Batch 1, average niya kay 89.75 with 15 takers. Take note ha, 15 takers for batch 1. Then batch 2, the average is 94.25 with 10 takers. Batch 3 average is 96.75 with 25 takers. So the question is, what is the overall average of the test takers? Take note, ganina I told you that the average refers to the mean. Pero if you try to scrutinize the number of takers per batch, lalay siya. Batch 1, 15, batch 2, 10, batch 3, 25. So, di ni mo siya pwedeng kas ako nug-add ning tulo ka average nya divided by 3. Dili, you have to consider the number of test takers in each batch. The answer for that is letter B, 94.15. The computation is, saan pag-compute, sir? So, of course, you have to consider nga kining 89, imong i-divide og 15 takers, mo na siya. 94, imong i-divide og 10 takers, mo na siya. Pila ito ba, gunya? After ana, ang third batch, imong pong i-divide og 25. And then, ang scores ana imong i-add. Gunya, mo arrive na ka sa 94.15. Okay? Unfair man, bias ang imong pagkuha sa average if you just directly add the 3 averages of the 3 batches, divide 3. Di ka mo arrive sa correct nga average of the test takers. Overall average, particularly. Number 8. Teacher Jenny is talking about grading on the curve in a teacher's conference at the 1st District of Cagayan. This means that she's referring to what type of grading system? A. Criterion reference grading. B. Cumulative grading system. C. Norm reference grading. D. Average method. Okay. Now, when you say grading on the curve, ang purpose ani nga exam is to compare the students score with his or her classmates scores, meaning you rank the scores of the students within a particular group or say a class. So may grading on the curve. So among the options, letter C is the correct answer. Norm reference grading. Norm refers to people. Norm refers to students. So when your purpose of administering a particular test is to rank the students, that is norm reference grading. However, when your purpose of grading or testing the students is to compare their scores towards a particular standards or a particular criteria, that is criterion reference grading. So the correct answer for number 8 is letter C, norm reference grading, grading on the curve. There is an analysis between and among the scores, between and among the student scores within a particular group or a particular norm group. Number 9. Julie's scores in biology quizzes are as follows: 92, 87, 72, 67, 99, 80. Question: what is the mean of these scores? Very easy. You only have to add up all the scores, then divided by 6. Anong 6 man? Because there are 6 number of cases. And the correct answer is letter B, 82.83. Lahi ni siya sa ganina, sa previous na question nga divide batch. So, motong di ta pwede mo diretso add ato nya divide katulo kay by batch mo to siya, and then each batch has different number of students or test takers. Unlike in this situation about Julie's scores, kay wa man siya divide batch, as in all scores of Julie raman ni siya. So, i-add nato, then diretso na tag-divide og 6. Number 10. Which of the following statements is correct about standard deviation? Okay. A, the smaller the standard deviation, the more spread the scores are. B, the larger the standard deviation, the less spread the scores are. C, it is a measure of central tendency. D, the larger the standard deviation, the more spread the scores are. Take note that standard deviation belongs to measure of variability, meaning standard deviation is used by statistician in order to know how spread the scores are, meaning unsa katag ang mga scores sa mga bata within a particular class or a particular group. So meaning to say, kung taas ang standard deviation or the SD value of a particular group, that means that mas spread po ang scores. So that makes letter D the correct answer. The larger the SD, the more spread the scores are. Number 11, Teacher Mode conducted a quiz after discussing his topic normal distribution to test whether students learn the lesson and not for grading purposes. Which type of test he conducted? Take note of the phrase not for grading purposes. So, in the scenario, if you notice, Teacher Mode gave a quiz right after the discussion. So the very purpose of the teacher is really to measure whether the students have understood the topic of the day or the lesson of the day. And the scores obtained by the teacher will not be used for grading purposes. So asa ana, the correct answer is letter B, the formative test. Formative test is administered by teacher not for grading purposes, but to see whether or not the students have learned about the lesson of the day. Placement test, in letter A, placement test, this is administered in order to determine the students' interest or inclination of a particular discipline or particular course. Kung asa siya mahaom. Letter C, diagnostic test. Diagnostic test is administered by teacher in order to determine the strengths and weaknesses of the students. Then the summative test is the opposite of the formative test. The summative test is administered by teachers for grading purposes. Of course, when I say from the word summative, mura siya has something to do with summary. So the summative test, man siya ang katong mga periodic exam, mga quarterly exam. Dinagko na siya nga test na nakakover na siya of several competencies. So the purpose here is for grading purposes. 12. Teacher Renz conducted a chapter test in algebra, in which competency did the students find the greatest difficulty in the item with a difficulty index of, okay, so when we say difficulty index, this refers to how difficult a particular test item is. So when you conduct a test, of course, di man na pwede siya i-administer, especially kung standardized test, it should never be administered directly. It has to undergo item analysis, meaning each item of the test will be analyzed by an expert or perhaps a teacher para mahibaw-an kung effective ba ni nga test item. So one of the barometers wherein we can say that this particular test item is good to be administered or not is finding the difficulty index of that particular test item. So, para di mo maglisod, ano na siya? The lower the difficulty index, ang figure, the more difficult the test item is. So, asa man diha ang pinakaubos? 0.45, so letter A. So, para di mo maglibog naani siya ay table, difficulty index table, naka-categorize na siya, naka-bracket ni siya kung asa nga unsa nga difficulty index na makaingon ta nga very easy ang item, average ba ang item, or difficult ba ang item. So it's very searchable in the internet. But in this question, the correct answer is 0.45. 0.45. Meaning to say, anong 0.45? Gamay ra na nakuha sa naka-check nga particular test item. Dili test ha, katong tibok test kundi item by item ang pag-analyze. Number 1 i-analyze, number 2 i-analyze. So yung ana basta standardized test. Especially ang let. Ang let before na siya administer, although pila na ka item sa say 400 item test na siya or 300, pero each item underwent item analysis. Muna siyang valid ginang let na exam or licensure examination for teachers. Number 13, which of the following statements is true about the normal curve distributions? So, normal curve gani siya, di ko ka-picture out kay wa man ko nagamit direct pen god. Pero if you're familiar with kanang x and y axis sa math, when you say normal curve, mura siya bell shape og na mountain pa na siya, mura siya og mount mayon na perfect siya. Pero wala siya, dili siya talinin sa tumoy. Curve siya, mga normal curve. Unsay pasabot na niya kung normal curve na in a graph sa score sa mga bata? That means to say that the scores are normally distributed. From the word itself, normal curve distributions. The correct answer is letter B. So if you are a bit confused about this question, you may just browse the internet and look for discussion on normal curve distribution. Okay? Number 14. The graphical presentation of the scores of teacher A's in TLE is represented by positively skewed distribution. This means that, okay, when we say positively skewed distribution, balik gihapon ta sa katong x and y axis. When we say positively skewed, meaning skewed to the right. Skewed to the right siya, meaning nara siya duha ka implications. It's either lisod ang test or mga hina ang mga test takers. Kay duha naman na nganong gamay ang scores, gamay scores ang bata. It's either the test is so difficult or sadyang slow learners lang din ang exam. So, in this particular question, the correct answer is letter B. The mean is greater than the median. Okay? So, again, this is still searchable in the internet. Lisod siya, wala ko'y figure na gamiton. Wala ko'y graph na gamiton. Okay? Anyway, I will just give you a link about thorough discussion on the skewness of the distribution of scores. 15. In the parlance of test construction, what does TOS mean? Labyan na to. TOS stands for Table of Specifications. The TOS contains the instructional objectives to be tested. It also contains the number of items, the placement of items, kung asa ning objective, gining objective number 1, asa ning test items makita. So, example, you're constructing a test, a 40-item test. Objective 1, makita niyo siya sa number 10 o number 15. Nga na. So, gi-specify dito pila ka test items per objective, per lesson objective. So, TOS stands for Table of Specifications. Number 16. Given two sets of data. So, natay duha ka sets of data, data A, set A and set B. So, question, which statement best describe both distributions of data? So, it's a matter of, observation and reading the table. So, letter A, the range of distribution A is 17. By the way, how to get the range? Kuhaon nimo ang highest, i-minus nimo sa lowest. Ano siya range. So, letter B, the range of distribution B is 14. Letter C, the scores of distribution A is more spread out than the scores of distribution B. Letter D, the scores of distribution B is more spread out than the scores of distribution B. So, aside from SD, another measure of variability to check how spread unsa kakatag ang mga scores is finding the range. The range also is one measure of variability. So again, in finding the range, just subtract the highest score from the lowest score. Oh, so set A, 25 ang highest, no? So 25 minus 8, pila? That is 17. So kining letter A is correct. Ang range sa distribution A is 17. Correct ni siya. Unya, correct po ni letter C. Diba? Ang range sa distribution sa letter B is B, 25 minus 12. Pila? 25 minus 12, 8 plus 5, 13. 13 ba? 20, 25 minus 12. Okay, 13. So, asa may mas spread out ang letter A, ang distribution A kaysa distribution B tungod kay mas dako ang range value, mas dako ang range value sa A kaysa range value sa B. So, ang correct answer is either letter A or letter C. Pero ingani gani nga best describe, meaning more scholarly imuhang pag-describe sa table. So although correct ang letter A, but the best answer is letter C. The scores of distribution A is more spread out than the scores of distribution B. Ngano ganito? Because the range of distribution A is greater than the range of distribution B. Okay, ayun, nasabtan ra. Number 17. Which of the following measures of variation or measures of variability is easily affected by extreme scores? Diba? Ingon ko ninyo nga extreme scores. Highest o lowest. Kung i-change nimo ang score sa tumoy o ang score nga nag-una, ang sa may apektuhan, ang range. Because range is the product of subtracting the highest score from the lowest score. So letter A is the correct answer. Number 18. Teacher Roland gave a test in chemistry. The facility index of item number 10 is 82%. The best way to describe item number 10 is, okay, let us try to unlock first the term facility index. Facility index, this refers to how facilitative a particular test item is. Meaning, unsa siya ka dali sagutan, dali siya ansiran. So, na-figure diri 82% daw ang facility index sa item number 10. So, this means to say that 82% of the test takers got the correct answer for item number 10. That is facility index. So, kay 82% man out of the many or out of 100 nga, what is 100? 82% sa group nakakuha og check nga answer sa number 10, then this goes to show that item number 10 is a very easy item. Letter C. Letter C is the correct answer. 82 good. Atong ibutang kintahay na ay 100 kabok ni exam. 82 nila nakakuha ang test item. So meaning kana nga test item is very easy. Okay? Number 19. Teacher Darrell gave a test in physics. Item number 5 has difficulty index of 0.85 and discrimination index of 0.10. What should Teacher Darrell do? Okay, let's try to unlock first the two concepts na dimension ani nga test item. Again, difficulty index refers to or determines how difficult a particular item is. Man siya difficulty index. Meanwhile, discrimination index would determine kung ang particular item kaya ba niyang i-discriminate ang upper group from lower group. Sa po ning upper group o lower group, sir? Okay. So, kung mag-conduct ka og exam, of course, magama kag test questions. Before na nimo siya administer, again and again, di ba, ma-undergo pa siya item analysis. Part of item analysis is finding the discrimination index. Katong upper group, isa may ibutang sa upper group, sir. Ang upper group, ang nabilong niya katong mga bright nga mga bata. Lower group katong medyo less performing than the upper group. Kung inang administer nimo sa test, more from the lower group ang nakakuha hinog answer ana nga test item, ang upper noon wala, nga dapat ka-expect ka ng upper group makakuha ang tagdaghan dako nga score kay mga bright to sila. So meaning to say low iyang discrimination index, meaning to say this particular test item fails to discriminate students from upper group and lower group. Pero kung daghan ang nakuha from the upper group kaysa lower group, then that particular test item has good discrimination index. Okay siya. Nga naman, ang ato bayang purpose sa exam is to really find the students who are performing. Mo nang let, kung mapasa ka, kamaojog ka. Kay mama na purpose to determine kinsa ang deserving nga maka-license. So, let's go back to the question. So, remember nga 0.10 ra nga nakalow ang iyang discrimination index. Unya 0.85 ang iyang difficulty index, very easy. So, unsaon nimo pag unsa may what's your decision? Of course, you have to reject the test item. Minabutang na ako ang explanation sa letter C. So, the best thing to do is to reject the item. Why? Because it's too easy. Okay? So, reject the item. How will you reject? Alis dan sa ulain nga question. So, nga na ka scientific ang pag-create o sa ka standardized test. So, it has to undergo several tests, several analysis. Number 20. Which of the following statement is or are important in developing rubrics? Rubrics class refer to kuan. Wala siya sumbanan siya in rating a particular task. So kabantay mo na ng mga singing contest, di ba, na mga criteria nga basahon. So that is an example of a rubric. So unsa may nasa rubric? Of course, everything from the choices are present in the rubric. So the correct answer is letter D. So rubrics should contain description of each criteria to serve as standard, very clear descriptions of performance in each level, the rating scale, and of course the mastery levels of achievement. So all these four aspects should be present in in a particular standardized rubric. 21, hapit na ta. What error committed by the teacher if he overrates the performance of his students? When I say overrates, meaning dagko sa gihatag ng mga score sa mga bata sa ilang performance. That is generosity error, meaning masyadong generous ang teacher sa paghatag sa iyang grado. When I say logical error, from the word itself, logical error, so paghatag sa grado, say for example sa class record, kay class record naman doon, naay nasayop ng formula or naay nausab ng formula sa Excel, kay Excel man ang class record, nasayop ang na-generate nga score sa bata, that is logical error. Meaning, not intended or not intentionally done by the teacher. Severity error, kining letter B, is the opposite of generosity error. Gagmay pug natagagrado ang teacher. So, severity error. Letter C, central tendency error. Ano siya? Murag, halos na ng bata, same raw grado. Why kayo nilabaw, why kayo niubos? What about the play safe ang teacher na tanang bata, almost the same raw grado. So, how will we avoid these errors? Of course, by making a rubric. Una kay rubric, set of criteria, guided ka in rating the performance of your students. So again, the correct answer for number 21 is generosity error. Number 22. Which of the following can measure awareness of values? Nga ma-aware, gusto nimo nga i-measure ang value awareness sa mga bata. The correct answer is letter D, moral dilemma. So giving them a problem, a situation, and then they will solve the problem. So, ang pag-solve sa ilang problem, magamit nila ang ilahang chosen values. Okay. So, number 23, Teacher Manny conducted examination in his Filipino class. Okay, the difficulty index of test item number 15 is 1. What does this mean? Okay. So, diba I told you earlier nga the higher the number, the easier the higher the difficulty index, the easier the test item. So, perfect 1 siya. Ganina kay mga point 80, point 75. Karon kay perfect 1 gid siya. Meaning to say, the test is very easy. So, letter B is the correct answer. Naka-enclose sa parenthesis ang akong explanation. The higher the difficulty index, the easier the test item. Number 24. In his second item analysis, Teacher Vince found out that more from the upper group, the one I told you earlier, got the test item number 12 correctly. This means that the test item has a positive discriminating power. Why? Because more from the upper group got the test item correctly. Kung more from the lower group pa, katong mga slow learners, negative yung discriminating power. Positive siya because this particular test item was able to discriminate the upper group from the lower group. Okay, number 25. Yay. Which is the most reliable tool for seeing the development in your pupil's ability to write? So, asa ani, if you wanted to see the development of your students in terms of writing. Letter A, interview of pupils. When you interview a particular set of pupils, do you think this can measure their writing ability? Of course not. This measures their speaking ability. Self-assessment. Self-assessment meaning the students will rate themselves. So, when they rate themselves as to writing, the result may or may not be biased or may not be reliable. Nga naman, kung ako yung rate sa kagalingon, of course, I would rate myself better. Basta ko ang score sa nga kaya sorry. Self-assessment po siya, di ba? Another is scoring rubric. Although okay ni scoring rubric po kay this is a reliable tool also. Kaya naman kay basis, naman kay criteria in terms of rating the student's writing ability. But the best and the most reliable tool is the portfolio assessment. Sa po yung portfolio, sir? Portfolio refers to collection of students' output. Ang tayo makita kung nabay progress ang mga bata gikan sa ilang first output up to the most recent output. So, na-compare nimo siya, isod na nimo siya og say clear book, pinagpakay sa teacher, makita niya kung ni-improve ba ang writing ability sa bata. So, the correct answer is letter D, the portfolio assessment. Number 26. The score distribution of the students of Teacher Ruel in statistics test is a positively skewed distribution. Diba? I told you, positively skewed to the right. This means that, what's the answer? The correct answer is letter D. Most of the scores are below the mean. So, again, lisod siya i-explain knowing that wa ko'y nakabutang diri nga figure or katong graph. However, you can browse the internet for more explanation about the skewness of the distribution of scores. Basta kay iyo lang timan-an nga inyo lang ingan nila po agporma sa let nga question nga skewed to the right, that is positively skewed. Skewed to the left, negatively skewed. Unsa may implication kung skewed to the right or positively skewed, meaning lisod ang test or gamay ang scores ang bata or mga hinaon ang mga bata ng exam. Opposite niya, negatively skewed, sayon ang test or mga bright ang bata or kanang sa pala implication sa negatively skewed. Mao to siya, sayon ang test or mga bright ang mga bata. Number 27. Which of the following does not belong to the group when we are talking about projective personality test? Okay. Let's unlock first projective personality test. This is a type of personality test wherein students are given a particular illustration and they've got to explain or say something about the illustration. The main goal is really to uncover the attitudes, the feelings, the traits of the students. So the correct answer here is the interview. Because in the interview, the interviewer is just giving questions. Wala siya ihatag na like, mga image or mga illustrations. Letter A, sentence completion test. Of course, na makait visuals na tanawon. Word association na pay visual. Samot na ang letter D, thematic a perception test. So, only interview does not belong to the group. Kay sa interview, wala visuals na gamitin ng interviewer. Number 28. I don't know sa pabasa ni Teacher Kai, Teacher K. Teacher Kai wrote of gyro. Manay nakasawat. When Gyro came to class this afternoon, he seemed very tired and slouched into his seat. He took no part in his class discussion and seemed to have no interest in what was being discussed. This was very unusual, for he has been eager to participate and often monopolizes the class discussion. What Teacher Kai wrote is an example of, that is, anecdotal report. Anecdotal report contains the teacher's observation regarding the behavior of the student inside the classroom, inside and outside the classroom, how a particular student interacts with his or her classmates, how a particular student reacts or deals with the subject, the teacher, and all other factors inside and outside the classroom. When we say letter A, incidents report, it's more on the details of a particular incident nga tabo sa eskwelahan. It could either be the case of bullying, sa nahitabuan na. Okay, observation report, di siya ingon nga formal term nga gamiton about the student's behavior in a particular classroom or inside a classroom. So, kining observation report, it's more on nagpa-activity ka sa mga bata and then ga-notes ka as to how they perform a particular task or activity in front of the class. That is observation report. Personality report talks about, although this talks about still about attitudes and behaviors of the students, but the most formal term used in school is the anecdotal report. So, this makes letter D the correct answer. Number 29. Counselor Gary shows the secrets of his counselee with other members of the faculty. The counselor violates the principles of, very easy, confidentiality. Number 30. This is the pre-planned collection of samples of students' works, assessed results, and other output produced by the students. The one I described earlier, this is the portfolio. The portfolio contains the students' sample work and their outputs. Okay? So, actually, there are different types of portfolio na tinatawag og showcase portfolio. Showcase portfolio, pakita din mga best output sa bata, i-showcase, i-exhibit. The developmental portfolio, this contains all the activities, all the outputs of the students. Malami managmadi, ibutang gina siya sa portfolio to track or to check or to monitor whether there is progress or not throughout a particular period, a particular, say, quarter or school year. Number 31. Ano pa yung answer ato? Okay, so number 30, ang answer ato is letter C, portfolio. Okay, 31. Teacher Crystal conducted a pre-test before she will discuss chapter about linear equation. And most of her students passed the pre-test. What should Teacher Crystal do? So, si Teacher Crystal nagkandak og pre-test. Pre-test, whenever it's a pre-test, meaning a test conducted prior to discussion. So, nakita niya ang result ng nagkukuha ang mga bata. So, what's the best thing Teacher Crystal should do? A. Go on the next unit. Yan na lang laktawan kay mo proceed siya sa next unit. B. Go through the lesson quickly in order not to skip any. C. Go through the unit as usual because it is part of the syllabus. Or D. Administer the post-its. Of course, naman tayo gitawag og budget of work. Sa DepEd, kung mag-una-una ka, di na ka mahuman on time. So, the best option is to go through the unit as usual because it is part of the syllabus. Letter C. Number 32. Which must go with self-assessment for it to be effective? The correct answer is letter B, the scoring rubric. Because with the help of rubric, you will avoid biases and other factors na makaapekto sa results sa imong assessment because you are guided by the rubric. The rubric contains criteria that need to be measured, that need to be assessed. 33. Which of the following statement is not included in developing table of specification? So, ang di maapilan is about the number of answer sheet needed. Wa nakabutang dito nga pila ka papel lang gamiton. But A, B, and D are included or are considered in developing table of specifications. Number 34. The main objective of testing in teaching is, so why do teachers administer tests? Of course, the correct answer is letter B, to assess the effectiveness of instruction and students' learning. The reason why we teachers administer tests or gave tests to our students is for us to know whether our teaching or our instruction is effective, and also to tell or to determine whether our students are learning from us and from the topic that we are dishing out to them. Number 35. The instructional objective is very important in a test construction when they are stated in terms of, the correct answer is letter C, student performance. So, kini mga teachers, I know na yung mga teachers na ninyo ari, di ba? Sa atong lesson plan, we are to write instructional objectives in a particular lesson. So, of course, our instructional objective should be behavioral and observable. So it should be performed by the students. It should be, or it can be performed and acted out or demonstrated by the student after the discussion. So therefore, these are stated in terms of student performance. Letter C. 36. Why should negative words be avoided in constructing multiple choice tests? Some examples of negative words, kanang mga except, mga not, mga unless. These are negative words. Usually makita nito sa mga test items. We have to avoid this because, what's the correct answer? They might be overlooked. Imbis ang bata kay bawsas correct answer, wasa ka basa sa except or unless. So, nasayot mo siya. Letter D. Remember that our purpose is to help our students pass a particular test, so not to fail them. So, the correct answer is letter D. 37. Which of the following statement is an advantage of multiple choice test items over an essay question? So, ngano kunong mas advantageous ang multiple choice type of test kaysa essay? Of course, the correct answer is letter A. It provides more extensive sampling of the content area. Remember that when you use multiple choice type of test, pwede nimong bisig unsa nga content, bisig unsa nga subject matter in magamang exam. The multiple choice type of test can be used across learning areas, across content areas. So, this is one of the advantages of using the multiple choice type of test over an essay question. Because an essay question, makabutang ka na, limited na imong makover, limited ang imuhang content na pwedeng i-measure sa mga bata. So, the correct answer is letter A. 38. Teacher Emily wants to establish the reliability of her test in English. What should the following he will do or she will do? Okay, unsa pa ning reliability? So part of item analysis is to conduct item or test reliability. Isa ning test reliability. Imong i-measure nga reliable ba, dependable ba ang imong test. Unsa man nimo siya? Imo siyang i-administer twice. Nakay gina mga exam and then you wanted to check its reliability. Imong exam, imong i-administer ng mga bata, mo nilang scores. After like how many weeks, imong i-administer balik. Kung mao gyapon nilang scores na makuha, that means to say that your test is reliable. Why? Di siya ingon nga nagtsamba-tsamba ang bata. Mo na gito iyang nakuha. Kasi pagkaduha or katuli ibalik ang test, same ra gyapon ang score sa bata. That is reliability. So asa ani ang nag-measure og reliability? Na explanation diha. It's number 2 and number 3. So the correct answer is letter B. Administer a parallel test. Unsa po ning parallel test? Sa parallel test, this is one way of also getting the reliability of the test. Unsa man ni siya? Na kay duha ka test paper igama, pero same ra siya instructional objectives, rely lang ang test items. Pero same ra ang competency or objectives nga imong gi-measure. Kini nga questionnaire imong gihatag ni kini nga group. Kini nga questionnaire pa imong gihatag nga group. Manay parallel test. That is one way of determining the reliability of a particular test. Split the test. Split the test is 1 to 40 imong exam. So, ang 1 to 20 imong administer. Next na po, kato na pong 21 to 40. Still determines the reliability of the test. So, the correct answer is letter B, 2 and 3. Number 39. Teacher JM gives 40-item test in math, where the mean performance of the group is 35 and the SD is 4. Christopher obtained a score of 37. Which of the following best describe his performance? Bisan pag imo na lang i-disregard ng kuan diha, mean performance group na 35 ug SD nga 4, makaingon jud nga 37 ang score ni Christopher out of 40. Then that means to say that asa man above average. Letter C. Di po siya matawag excellent ka excellent meaning perfect score or usara ba yung mistake. Number 40. Teacher may conducted a test in science. In her item 1, it's said to be non-discriminating. Non-discriminating meaning the test item fails to discriminate students from upper group from the lower group. So, asaan eh? Letter, what's the answer? Letter D. The item is very easy. All students got the correct answer. Sayo na kayo ang item. So, tanan nakakuha answer. So, wa ka naka-discriminate kung asa sa mga examinees ang bright o dili. Number 3, very difficult pod. Only 4% got the correct answer. So, ba na ba kalisod? Meaning, non-discriminating hapon siya. So, letter B. Number 41, all of the following statements below are best practices of preparing multiple choice test items. Except no, man negative word ha. Pero sa let na gini siya. Ang purpose sa mga itong i-avoid na negative is sa atong mga estudyante. Pero kita teachers, professionals, it's okay for us to encounter questions containing negative words. So the correct answer is shorten the stem so that alternatives can be written longer. So sayop na siya. Ano man, kung imong taas ng alternatives, automatically mulid na siya nga wata mo ni correct answer. Okay? Number 42. Study this group of tests which was administered to a class to whom Ian belongs. Then answer the questions 42 to 44. So, first column, the subject. Second column, Ian score. Then the mean score of the class. Then the SD. 42. In which subject did Ian perform most poorly? So, ato ra ka sa score niya nga pinagamay. Asa man? Of course, it's science. The correct answer is letter B, science. Number 43. What type of learner is Ian? Kung sa mga type of learner is Ian, tanaw na po nimo kung asa nga subject dagkog score si Ian. Dili sa PE, 92. Sa math po 90. Sa English po niya 90. Therefore, si Ian is what? Kung sa man si Ian? A logical student. Because math, mathematics really requires more logic for you to ace the subject, to perform better in the subject. So, letter D is the correct answer. So, do with English. Ang English po, naghahanap po ni siya og kanang logical thinking. Okay, continue. 44. In which group scores most spread? So, spread naman po. Ato na po ka sa ikapat na column kay, di ba, standard deviation, is one measure of variation. Kung mas taas ang SD niya, mas spread siya. So, among the 4 subjects, asa man diha ang may pinakataas og SD? Of course, the English. So, English is the correct answer for number 44, letter C. Last but not the least question. The computed R, kung maka-undergo namang research, stands for relationship. For scores in Filipino and English is 0.65. What does this mean? So, ang relationship ko could be Spearman ni siya or Spearman ba ni siya or person product. R niya is 0.65 dako. Remember, R stands for relationship, meaning to say, Filipino scores are positively related to English scores. Kaya dako man siya, 0.65 or 65%. So, letter A is the correct answer. So, this ends our discussion. I hope that you're learning. I hope that this motivates you to read more and more about assessment of learning. So next time or next assignment, siguro next na pod nga or lain na pod nga subject atong i-review. But I hope nga you will read more about assessment of learning para mas maka-learn pagin mo. If ever you have questions, you have doubts, clarifications, do not hesitate to chat or to post it in our group chat. Okay. Thank you for listening and once again, good day. Bye-bye.